I think maybe the only thing that might have made this pretty much untouchable would probably be if they brought back Simon Callow playing Charles Dickens and made this a little bit more meta. But hey, this is a great story. And let's check out A Christmas Carol. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I'm a geek. You are watching Kevin the Geek, and welcome to my newest of the new Doctor Who reviews. And yeah, I know it is literally only just gone Easter, but hey, we're doing a Christmas special. I've got to put the hat on. It's just obligatory by this point. And so today we are going to be doing my review of A Christmas Carol. And of course, if you are new to my channel, then first of all, thank you for everyone who has managed to help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's keep it going. Let's keep going. Let's, check out all the rest of my content. I do Doctor Who stuff. I do reactions. I do reviews. I do loads of different stuff on the channel. I do a nice wide range of stuff to try and appeal to as many people as I can. But thank you for choosing to join with me today. And if you don't know how I do my Doctor Who reviews, is I give 10 categories a score out of 10 to give an overall score out of 100, and I use that for helping me when it comes to doing rankings and things like that. So make sure you stick around to the end of the episode when you can see my scores for this video. And I'll tell you what, I don't think that I've watched this since it aired. And I did say in one of my reviews quite recently that we are actually getting to that point. That really up to series 5, I could pretty much say that I have watched most episodes to death. But we're here at that point where in reality, a lot of episodes I've probably only seen them once. So it is really important that I had to do rewatches when it comes to these kind of episodes, and I'm so glad that I did do this rewatch for this episode, because looking back, I don't remember looking back at it really with much enthusiasm. But I think possibly part of the reason for that would be where I was at the time. So I was working at Butlins down because I was at university, and for me, the way it kind of worked is you would have a contract basically that run through to the end of October. They would do a separate contract for you if you wanted to work the November and December before they closed down for the seasonal period. And because I was a student, I needed money. And so I had to, I wanted, that extra money to support me and everything. But the criteria for that is you basically were, by having those 2 months of the contract, you agreed that you were going to be working Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, things like that. So what that meant was, for the first time in my life, I was away from my family. And that Christmas was very lonely for me. I was down on the south coast. Luckily, I had one person who I went to uni with who was also working down there, so we kind of was able to at least spend a little bit of Christmas Day together. But in reality, the rest of the time, I just felt so alone. And so maybe that is partially the reason why I don't think back to this particular Christmas very fondly. And maybe I've not gone back and rewatched it because of those memories that it kind of evokes. I don't know, but I think that logically makes sense for me. And so in a way, I've become a bit of a Scrooge-like figure when it comes to this particular story. And I think it's interesting. There have been a lot of adaptations of A Christmas Carol over the years of varying degrees of effectiveness, of varying degrees of credibility, and varying degrees of the extent of the diversions from the original source material. And it has to be argued that this could be, quite possibly, the most unique version of A Christmas Carol that there ever has been. But it doesn't feel that it is riding on the tails of it being a parody or a spin-off or an interpretation of the Christmas Carol story. And for me, that is something I have to appreciate, because you run that risk of being too safe with something. Here, Doctor Who took a risk, and it is a risk that paid off. And there were some interesting elements to it, most notably Katherine Jenkins. Now, it's not like when we did The Voyage of the Damned and you brought on Kylie Minogue, someone who is, of course, a renowned singer. She is obviously someone who started off in acting. Okay, it was soap acting, and it was Australian soap acting in Neighbours. So it is up to you to determine if you think that it is good acting or not good acting, but she had experience in acting. Katherine Jenkins has not had much experience in acting, and she is very well known for her voice, and her voice is amazing. Is it necessarily my personal taste when it comes to styles of music? No. I'm not a humongous classical style fan. Although, in saying that, I would definitely say that around this time I did have a little bit of a penchant for Hayley Westenra, who ironically does a lot of similar kind of stuff. And maybe I think that was from a video game I remember playing. I think it was like a scuba diving game or something that she featured on. And the music was just beautiful in that. So maybe that was the reason why for that. But Katherine Jenkins, that very operatic style, and very pure operatic style, not my personal cup of tea, but she is good at what she does. And I wonder how much of the decision making was a case of, we want to have Katherine Jenkins, let's tailor the story around her. Or do we go, you know what? We would like to have some singing in this. This is the kind of thing I want to do. Who could we do? Or do we maybe try and go for a Katherine Jenkins? Do we go for someone of that prestige? And let's try it and see. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there. I wasn't involved with the decision makings with that. But what she did do when it came to singing, it was strong. It was really beautiful. The acting, it was okay. For her, I would say it was okay. It wasn't the most amazing performance. Michael Gambon, though, he nailed this. He was truly, truly fantastic in this role. And there have been a lot of very well known and very well regarded actors over the years who have done Mr. Scrooge or a Scrooge-like character. But you could put it on record and argue that he is up there. He is right up there with trying to deliver one of the most iconic Scrooge kind of choices for this. I mean, okay, I know he wasn't called Scrooge. He was called Kazran Sardick. But he was basically Mr. Scrooge, wasn't he? That's the whole thing with it, with this episode. And with the story, I like the Doctor Who twist that they put on it. It was something that, had you told me that there was going to be a Doctor Who twist on the Christmas Carol story, the one thing that I really wouldn't have expected them to have done is the whole Ghosts of Christmas Future part. Because you could say the Ghosts of Christmas Past, that was quite cheeky, quite fun, and that would make sense with it being a time travel thing. The Ghosts of Christmas Present, again, I would say when you kind of know what the story generally is, it just makes sense that would be what it is. But the idea of taking the Ghost of Christmas Future, and rather than it showing old Kazran what his future is going to look like, you actually take young Kazran and show him the present Kazran and show him that this is the person that you are going to become. Oh, that was a truly, truly great moment. That was absolutely so good. The Doctor in this, he was amazing as well. And there was that whole little sequence when he first pops up. He comes out down the fireplace and he's talking about how he just couldn't resist a fireplace on Christmas Eve.
Yes. Blimey. Sorry. Christmas Eve on a rooftop. Saw a chimney. My whole brain just went, what the hell?
And then you have that old rambling speech little bit that he's going through, and it's just the pure comedy that he comes out with, and of course the bit with the Marilyn Monroe. It is just pure Matt Smith kind of Doctor ignorance at its absolute finest.
How do you keep going like that? Do you breathe out your ears? Hello? Sorry. Hello? Guys, she's phoned a chapel. There's a car outside. This is happening now.
Now, I think two things that I don't think I ever really talked to in immense details, which is, of course, part of my scoring system, is the set and the costumes. And what I really liked with this one is we're in a futuristic setting. But despite it being a futuristic setting, they still went with kind of costume designs that would feel very Dickensian. Yet at the same time, it really doesn't feel out of place, if that makes sense. It really does feel that this is absolute perfect symbolism at its core, that you've got the old and the futuristic, but they're merging together. And I think with the way that it's a Ghost of Christmas Future, Ghost of Christmas Past, that works really, really well. And the other thing is the subtle changes that you get throughout the episode, which pertains to the story. So you've got over the fireplace, you've got the painting of Kazran's father, Elliot Sardick, and then as we're doing the whole Ghost of Future Past stuff, you see that painting change to a painting of Abigail. But then, when you learn of Abigail's sickness, and then Kazran kind of closes up on himself to some degree, it actually leaves you in a position that, no, this is going to close himself off. He can't open himself up to love or anything like that, and he becomes that hardened Kazric that we see at the start, and that painting shifts back to being one of his father. And it's such a subtle change. Even the what he's wearing, you know, at the start, it's not quite a bow tie. It has a bit of a bow tie kind of likeness to it, but it's not quite a bow tie. And it's one that then changes again. You see it actually become more of an actual pronounced bow tie, as if it's mirroring what the Doctor's got and based on the interaction and the conversations he had with him as a child. But then again, it changes back to that slightly, you know, less bow tie like bit a bit later on. And again, I think the attention to detail in that, the fact that they tie it in with the story, is so great. And this is why I like doing these rewatches, because once you know the general story, once you kind of know what is happening, you can pay more attention to the dialogue, to the music that's going on, to things like the costumes and the set and the little subtle things that you probably are not going to notice the first time around. And I think it is testament to all of the people that go on, not just the writers and the performers, the ones that you mainly see, but the costume designers and the director who is making these subtle little choices to make this episode the absolute best it can be. So, that is my review of A Christmas Carol. Let's check out my scores for the episode. And so, there you have it. Doctor Who, A Christmas Carol has scored 86 marks out of 100, which means it is an A+ graded episode. And I tell you what, if I'd come into this 2 and a bit years ago, when I first started doing my Doctor Who reviews, and if you were to have told me that I was going to give a higher score of The Christmas Carol over The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, I would not have believed you. I wouldn't have thought it was possible. But that just goes to show how this grading system, despite having some flaws to it, it does mean that I can be very consistent with my way of scoring these, which helps me to do my rankings. I've done quite a few rankings on the channel already, and I have got one planned for coming up in the future, because I said it last time out, when I did my review of the Pandorica Opens and, of course, The Big Bang, I spoke about how it had a great cliffhanger, but the second part didn't necessarily tally up with how it feels. I'm going to now put together a ranking of the best cliffhangers from modern Doctor Who. So stay tuned for that, but of course, join me next week when I do my review of the Season 6 two-part opener, The Impossible Astronaut and The Day of the Moon. I thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe if you're new, and please drop your comments down below. But of course, until next time, my name's Kevin. I am a geek, and you've been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.